Hi, this is Siofra's Magic Alcove, and I'm Siofra Bradigan. So, I know it's been a while since I've done a video because a lot of things have been happening close to me in my family that I've had to focus on and deal with. But it made me think about priorities, and I figure that's not a bad topic for discussion because I often get the question from people about how much time they should spend on certain things, what happens when they don't feel inspired, if they've been lax in their studies or their practice for a period of time, and how to get back into the swing of things, that kind of stuff. And there's no doubt that real world issues like your health, um, the well being of your own mind, as well as people you care about, your loved ones, survival, these are all very important priorities. And if you can't meet some of those priorities, it's difficult to have time available in order to pursue your spiritual path or your studies or practice or whatever you might think of it as. And I've certainly gone through periods of years where I've not been actively practicing, like on a regular basis, doing rituals, etc. And I've had other periods of my life where I've done a lot. I've done regular rituals throughout the year, worked with groups of people, and all that. So I often think of this as in life, we have certain tides that just happen naturally. So sometimes the universe opens everything up, lines everything up, and it lets our interests and our needs kind of become the same for a period of time. Let me get a lozenge here. Apparently, I still have some of that stuff. Daughter got sick. I don't think she gave it to me, but I got a horse, a frog, whatever, in my throat here. So, I mean, we know that cycles are a real thing in our world, in the world of magic, and just in life in general. Why we have seasons, and the moon changes its shape and size, affects our tides more or less depending on other factors happening. So it really shouldn't be much of a surprise that there are certain things that we have to adapt to, whether we like them or not. But thinking of my priorities, it's pretty clear one of my major priorities are other people, especially my family. And when family is in crisis, whether it's health or mental health, physical or mental, it if you care about them and if it's a priority for you, it takes a lot of your attention away from the other aspects of your life. And I don't think that's a bad thing. It's certainly my priority has been with the family, both mental and physical health, the last month, I think. It's been a while. Things have just been happening one thing after another, not all the same people, different situations and so forth. And I've had to deal with some of my own stuff, doing some shadow work, some pretty serious shadow work there for part of this period of being missing, as it were, from my channel. Um, Trying to take personal responsibility for breach of my own that happened, and doing what I needed to heal myself and my. And the specifics aren't important for the general discussion. I'm not perfect, and I know it. And this time period has highlighted that in many ways and made me more aware of my own unique failings, I guess. We're all just sort of trying to figure stuff out. But there's no doubt that when family is threatened one way or another, my mother bear comes out and pushes me, empowers me through the necessary changes, shifts, attention, whatever. It gives me the energy that I need in order to fulfill what I see as my duty. And I know you can't save everyone, and I may or may not succeed in this because it's not just up to me, but I will certainly give it my all. Complete and total attention and dedication to, well, not resolving, not solving, being present as much as I can for what's happening around me. Sort of an interesting sort of a thing, like as a healer, one of the lessons I had to learn pretty early on was that you can't make people well. There are many reasons why someone isn't going to actually get well. In some cases, it could be fate, karma, whatever you want to call it. In other cases, lack of will. Um, Sometimes it's circumstance. Circumstances just don't align themselves correctly. And there's only so much even a powerful witch can do against certain circumstances. But then my belief in free will means that I don't use my magical abilities to try and shape or mold someone into what I would consider a better place, even if I'm certain I'm right, that it would be good. Because that's the whole point of this. People have to figure these things out on their own and come to their own conclusions. And if I could, say, for example, completely shift someone's personality traits or clear up their brain chemistry or what have you, then they wouldn't get the full benefit of change because they didn't succeed on their own. It's kind of a fine balance, I think, all these things. And that's the trick, is finding the balance. And of course, spending too much energy on trying to help others often means not taking care of yourself as well, which is another priority. Really, the whole thing is about balance and trying to find a middle ground. And failure is inevitable to a certain extent because people are so different. They're here to learn what they're experiencing, what they're going through, all that stuff. I know for me, if I have to choose between an arranged activity that I like and a family member in crisis, the arranged activity is immediately discarded. Although, well, people who know me well know that if I say I'm going to do something and be somewhere, I will be, unless there's some kind of an emergency, in which case I will let someone know because I consider that extremely to commit to something and then just blow it off and not show up. Unless it's such an emergency and there's no method or ability to connect or contact somebody, leaving them a message of any kind and whatnot so that they know what's going on. I find that the ultimate. And there's a lot of that kind of casual just on the internet where someone asks you a question and you answer it and then you never hear from them again. As they call it ghosting now, which is just rude in my book. We all have different judgments, I guess, when it comes to that. And people have lots of experience. I guess and I take commitment very seriously. If I agree to spend a certain amount of my time and energy to do something for either myself or someone else, then I want to fulfill those. And priorities shift. I mean, some priorities shift. For me, the family priority will never shift, but there's plenty of opportunities for me to do other things I want to because it doesn't take up, in general, under most circumstances, all of my focus, time, and energy. And like I said, there are certain things you can't help people with. Sometimes there's nothing you can do. And learning how to let go of that hard. It's a difficult thing to do. So wanting someone to be well and hoping for the best. And I guess one of my other main priorities is self awareness, myself, knowing where I fit in, what I'm doing, and I can make more conscious choices about where to put my energy, how to use my energy, what to do with my time, with myself, so forth. And and life is just sort of happens sometimes. Just flowing along a nice little stream that you found where the energy seems to be going in the right direction. And all of a sudden, somebody throws a giant boulder in your path, and all of a sudden, you're coming up against a bunch of waterfalls and rapids and things like that that you didn't see coming. And now you have to figure out how to get onto the shore or get dashed into the rocks. I'm getting into. I like metaphors. They can help explain some of our feelings. We don't always have words for accurate. But since magic is always with us, I think that my foundation of being a witch and a pagan, connecting with other forces of nature, the universe around me, the spirit world, etc., gives me a little kind of a, I don't know, leg up or an assist, visible hand that helps from time to time. We have a full moon coming up in a couple of days. So I'll definitely be working with that this month and what I can to help on that level. That's one of the things I like about magic in general is there are so many different potential strategies that I can use for strengthening myself, time of crisis, or strengthening others, adding energy they're going through, as long as it's not harming me. Balance part again. It's been interesting. I've been going through this particular period. I have been doing a fair number of distant Reiki sessions, and I find them beneficial for myself. Nice, helps me to ground better when I have to be grounded, go and view someone else's life and what they're going through, see what I can see on the other planes and so forth, and help to facilitate the exchange of healing energies, different forces are out there and that are willing to help. I think that being kind is probably the most one of the more important things in life. Be a kind individual. We all have judgments, and being judgmental and being having discernment and good judgment, two entirely different things that are very similar to each other, so kind of like sides of the same coin. And finding again the balance between them and not getting too far into one or the other, trying to find that fine line. Jarhawk once said that one of the things that we aspire to as witches is to get to a place where we can hold two seemingly opposite forces in our mind at the same time and see that they were connected and there was actually no conflict. Be able to grasp both simultaneously without going mad. Although I think it could be mad induced people. But it's like everything is a part of something else and it goes around in a circle. The image of the medicine wheel helps with trying to understand that, because most of the time, most of us are sitting on the outer edges of the wheel. And from the outer edge of the wheel, looking across, what we see across from us is the opposite of us, the opposite side of the wheel. But when we can bring ourselves into the center of the wheel and become that infinite point, middle of our own existence and the existence of everything around us, then from the center, see both sides at the same time. And we're seeing it from a different perspective. The one who dwells within the center of their own being is able to comprehend samenesses, as well as all those different points. And as a greater society, definitely express different places on that. And most people lose track of the fact that there is a center and that everything is part of everything else. And being able to let go of expectations, allowing the future to unfold and life to unfold to a certain extent. Again, the balance, control, direction, tension, surrender, acceptance, standing, part of it. Narhawk talked about magic being the ability to change your state of consciousness. That, I think, is what meditation is for, is to be able to alter your own state of awareness, self and things around you. But I haven't been making a lot of videos or any videos in the last while because I couldn't find my center in the midst of all the crises that were happening around me. And when I lost my center was when I made some very stupid choices, said some really stupid things. So trying to work with myself and try and stay as centered as possible. And we know that this whole path is about self development, self awareness, choosing your own path, being more in charge of your spiritual development. It's been a while since I've come across something that needed this kind of attention. Because overall, I'm pretty happy with life, who I've become, but trying not to be complacent. Every moment we exist is a choice to decide to do something or decide not to do something. And that I find interesting is that a lot of times people feel that they can't make a choice or they shouldn't make a choice, but forget that not making a choice is in itself a choice and will affect everything. So choosing not to decide something has as great an impact on everything else that's going on around you as choosing a path, and if not more, because then you're at the mercy of external forces. You don't choose yourself. I found that uh, directly stated to me when I was living with my daughter's father, and I was using the tarot a lot, trying to understand what was going on around me and me and so forth at the time. And I was thinking of leaving the relationship, and I wasn't sure yet exactly what I was going to do. So I did a reading on what would happen if I just let things run their natural course and didn't take any direct action. And there was dissolution of the relationship amongst a huge amount of external elemental kind of forces that were like, giant storms and just floating things and chaos. I thought, okay. So then I immediately did a second reading on the same question, which of course they don't recommend, but I had a completely different focus, and that focus with the idea of believe instead of just letting it happen. And the outcome of the second choice, same outcome in the fact that the solution of the relationship, completely different outcome as far as me and what happened to me, taking the reins in my own hands and making the choice, and um, doing it. I gained a huge amount of strength. Very interesting and very clear. So that helped me make my decision. Like, okay, in that case, um, it looks clearly better for me to decide this, take actual action, stop the relationship. And it's kind of interesting because my ex, Rick, he became a fundamentalist Christian not long after I left the relationship. And he still is. That hasn't changed. So that was in, my daughter was 1975, and so it was 78 when I left. Uh, and he is still fundamentalist to the point where at my daughter's wedding, and came down here from Canada, his wife, and tried to convert my grandchildren at the wedding, which of course didn't go over well with anyone. So, definitely didn't change him. We had a conversation one day towards the end, and what it was I wanted. And I said, I want you to be happy. I want you to find someone you can be happy with, have a happy life. And this is what he chose. What made him happy. Not anything that would make me happy. And of course, as I've stated in other videos, he ended up kidnapping my children when they were younger to try and save them from going to hell and eternal damnation because I was their mother and I was like a witch and flirting with devils, etc. Felt it was a moral imperative to rescue from mortal and immortal danger. Kind of interesting in itself, which I saw coming at the time. That was one of those situations where my mother instincts, mother bear, came out to bat things down, whack them, and put them back in place. Um, where I required a lot of focus, priority was on them. And I kind of stated that to the universe at the time pretty clearly. If the rule was in order to become a teacher and to help other people, I needed to put my children, then I wasn't going to participate. I wouldn't play. I quit at a time. Uh, I've never regretted that decision because balanced life, I think, is important. Certainly, plenty of people who teach the opposite. As far as my priority is concerned, children, family came first. If I couldn't do it with them, I certainly wasn't going to do it. I met a lot of people who felt that their spiritual evolution is more important than anything else, that everyone should sort of bend over backward, arrange things to make it more possible and feasible for them to attain enlightenment, whatever you want to call it. And that never sat well with me. Like, we live in a world that has things that need people sometimes that need to be helped. And although I don't think total martyrs, which again about the balance, if all you do is help other people and you never help yourself and take care of yourself, then you are failing to appreciate life that the universe has gifted us and are squandering it in that sense. Because when it comes to priorities, family first for me. I am also on that same list. So my health and wellness is not taking a back seat to that. Just times and different cycles cause all for different actions and focus and priorities. Although I did find this whole process that I just went incredibly exhausting emotionally and physically. I had to take some time for myself to try and recover a little bit, feeling better. Um, but I took the time and took care of myself as well as I could and pay attention to those signals that my body is giving me as far as, telling me what I need to do, what I need not to do in order to continue. I can make more videos. So hopefully this will be the beginning of making some more videos on other subjects that are a little more fun than talking about priorities. But I know that we all deal with these questions And um, sometimes we blame ourselves for not being good enough or strong enough or focused enough or determined enough or what. And give yourself a break because some days it's just not going to happen. And it's okay. Stop fighting the energy today, shift gears, change your priority, and do something different. So, I guess that's enough. I wanted to give you guys a check in kind of the thing going on. I hope everybody's safe, having a good time wherever they are, or at least making good decisions. Who knows? It'll all come out in the wash. So, this is Siofra Bradigan, and this is Siofra's Magic Alcove. Blessed be.